Okay, welcome back. Solo roll Mangging. Tales of Argosa. And we are doing a relatively obscure, I would imagine. I've never heard of this before. The Sinister Secret of White Rock. Definitely different than the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, which we did before. So we are, near our home village. And apparently some guy's kid went missing. Last seen playing around this old stone or something. This menhir. I don't know where this comes into play. If we're getting attacked by a owl bear out in the woods. Since this whole thing takes place underground, that seems like a weird image to use. But anyways. Let's continue. We went into the first room and we disturbed some ceiling collapsed near us. Some orc skeletons popped out, but we kicked their asses and it was mostly okay. Tress did get injured. So there's that. But we did find a secret door. So we're gonna trek through it. Again, marching order is Tress, Danton, Villagrad, and Corin. The air here is thick with the smell of cooking meat and wood smoke. In the center of the chamber is a large iron cauldron, blackened with age and soot. A pair of small, pale humanoids with fierce fangs and oversized pads on their fingers kneel near the cauldron, adding sticks to the fire, while a third pulls squirming rats from a bag and tosses them into the stew. There was a battle in Area 1-1, so the Sea Hell are prepared for the intruders and are only going through the motions of cooking. They immediately launch an attack, potentially surprising the heroes if they fell for the Sea Hell's ruse. Okay. Well, I think it's going to be some kind of a pose check here, as usual. So perception on our part, but do we want to make a dex on their part? Is this a stealth check, or is this like just a... Or should we make this a luck perception check? And it's not opposed. I think that's maybe a better way to go. So let's do a luck perception check. We'll have Villagrad do it. Normal. Okay, so we succeeded. We lost a point of luck. Any luck set. Anytime you have to make a save, like normally any sort of save effect that you would do in D&D, that's now luck check, and that dwindles down, and every time you succeed it goes down. So it's an interesting system that definitely makes it harder and harder to keep going because luck does not regenerate very easily. If we go back to looking at luck, yeah, so you use luck rolls for resisting serious adverse effects such as spells, traps, special enemy attacks, or major environmental hazards, or to perform major exploits, rescue, or party retreats. Luck can go down to a minimum of 5. And you regain 1 point of luck per long rest. And the intention, I guess, is that you're going to do you know, you're gonna do an adventure, you're gonna do like a dungeon or something, you know, the whole thing, and then you take long rests for like 2 months or something. Like your downtime. Do they talk about downtime at all here? I would imagine so. Well, they talk about oh yeah, well, there's a whole downtime chapter, of course. Players generally decide how long their downtime is between adventures. But if you want to roll randomly, 2d6. So the most common is going to be 2d6 weeks. And again, that's basically 2d6 luck that you recover. Because it's 1 point every week of, you know, rest or general rest. Which is usually what downtime is. So, but yeah, downtime here, you're looking at somewhere in the range of like 2 months. 1 to 2 months on average. Tended to cover the typical injury recovery period for a broken bone or similar persistent injury. Yeah, this is a very foreign concept to me. Like I said before, like I don't normally ever think of downtime because it's just like part of the game. Because I tended, you know, when we played, we tended to avoid dungeons. We didn't really have like quests so much. It was just an ongoing game, and then sometimes we did things that would be considered downtime, but it was just like, I don't know, part of the game. Whereas nowadays it seems to be a lot more codified of like, yes, you will sit in town now for 2 months and you will enjoy it. I mean, obviously it generally goes by pretty quickly. But yeah, it's a little foreign to me. But here, I think it's very like, and this is probably the most strict downtime that I've ever seen. As far as like, you are heavily incentivized to do downtime because of luck recovery. You want your luck at max when you go into another adventure. And so it's like, yeah, well, we're going to have to pass 2 months here or whatever in order to recover. And yeah, you pay your lifestyle costs, I guess. And you get to do other things in there. Crafting. Magical research, you know, waiting for master forged items, you know, all this sort of stuff. Like, yeah, there's things you can do, but it's like I'm just trying to think of like how much stuff can happen in the course of 2 months. Like with other factions and locations and plot points and things like that. You know, this is from the perspective of a sandbox campaign in which the player characters are not like the chosen ones. You know, they're not like the protagonists of the entire campaign world. They're just pieces of it. So I think like modern D&D campaigns and stuff like that, it's often like the players are everything. The whole plot revolves a lot around the players and what they're doing. And if they're not doing whatever they need to be doing, everything is going to fall to ruin and stuff like that. Whereas this, it's just like, if the players all died, life would go on, you know? There are times where obviously things are time sensitive based on what the players are doing, but usually that's during the course of an adventure. But yeah, you might have offered up a rumor or something that the players just are delaying on or something like that, and that might expire. But I think the point is generally to I don't know, I guess let the players earn their downtime and their recovery period. But yeah, I could see like halfway through the downtime, it's like, oh, this little girl went missing. Do you want to stop resting and help out? And it's like, we'll pass on that. And depending on the player's reputation and stuff, you know, it's not a good look. But yeah, anyways. So yeah, the whole downtime thing is a little foreign to me, but I guess I'm not opposed to it in theory. It does make sense. You got to recover for a while after these insanely dangerous activities. Right, so that was all luck. Okay, so Villagrad spots that they're just kind of pantomiming actions, and they're actually like eyeing us and readying their weapons very subtly. So he shouts out that they're about to attack, nullifying their surprise, which is good because that would be very bad to be surprised here. So they are going to spring into action. One hurls a javelin at the adventurers. Other two overturn the cauldron, spilling its seething content toward the heroes. Okay. So after they spill the cauldron, they'll then flee south to Area 1-3, where they spring an ambush on any pursuers. Alright, so let's maybe see if we can deal with these. So these are gnomes? These are like Deep One gnomes that have lived here their entire existence. Small, pale humanoids with fierce fangs and oversized pads on their fingers. So yeah, they're little creepy bastards. Surprised they didn't throw an image of these little creatures in there. Oh, there you go. Oh yeah, definitely like fucking The Descent or something, but gnomes. Creepy. All right, so they have 6 health each. That's kind of surprising. They're hardy little folk. 6 health each. AC 17. Again, outrageously high AC numbers. For reasons no one knows. They have chain shirts on. So I guess we'll give that AC 13. And then a dex of 14 is going to be a +1. Yeah. So they should have an AC of 14. As far as I can tell. +4 on their attack is stupid and wrong, so we're not going to do that. I could see +2 again. This music is a little too bouncy. We're fighting weird, freaky descent gnomes here. So I think +2 on their attacks, blah, blah, blah. They also have chill touch. So if they grab someone, they can drain their strength, dealing 1 point of strength damage each round. It maintains the hold, leaving a waxy patch on the victim's skin. Okay, that works. That holds up. That's fine. Yeah, I think it's mostly fine. Okay. Then the only thing that I'm not sure about is the hook sword. I don't know exactly what that is. Okay, it's got the curved hook on the end. Does it have... This is a 5th edition. Oh, here it is for 3.5. Says it gives a +2 bonus to trip attacks and disarming, which I'd probably incorporate when they do minor exploits. because they're going to try to trip us and disarm us if they attack. But they're really not doing that yet because they're just trying to throw their javelin and overturn the cauldron. So let us roll initiative. We will start with Tress as usual. Failure. That is a bummer because they're definitely going to do what they said. So Tress is up front, so she's going to get the javelin attack. This is a +2. Just barely enough to hit. So that is going to be a D6 plus... No, a D4 plus 1. Is that what a javelin is in Tales of Argosa? Probably. No, it is a D6 in Tales of Argosa. Got upgraded. Makes sense. It's a fucking javelin. It should probably hurt. So D6 plus 1 is 2 damage. Pretty light. Just grazed. Just grazed. And then the other two are going to overturn the cauldron. Which is not going to be a check or anything. They just do it. Covers 3 adjacent 5-foot squares, forcing PCs in the squares to make a DC 15 reflex save or take 1d4 points of heat damage. Well, if we're all in a lineup, it would be the first 3 in our marching order. So I guess it'll be the first 3 in our marching order, which is Tress, Danton, Villagrad. They're all going to have to make a luck dex save. So Tress fails. Should I re-roll that for 1d4? She's already kind of beat up, so yes. Great success. Excellent. Villagrad, luck dex. Terrible failure. Hey, how about a re-roll? Terrible failure. Okay, well, he's taking d4 damage, 2. He's got plenty of health. And then, Danton, luck dex. Great success. Good. All right. So we kind of nimbly move out of the way. I'm not going to give them the move yet. Well, I guess, I don't know. I feel like the tipping over the cauldron was probably a bit of effort. I could have them run right away. It would kind of make sense. Yeah, okay. So they'll run to the south through a doorway. And that is their turn. And I guess we will just all follow. Would we? Let's roll an oracle. I think it's likely we follow. We're pissed at these little creepy bastards, so we'll roll twice. Okay, we do not follow. Discretion is the better part of valor. So we hold off. We think cautiously. And we wait. I'm not going to take us out of combat just yet, because I don't think we can short rest. It seems a little dangerous. I don't think there's a door here, is the thing. I think it's a doorway? Yeah, it's just a hallway that leads to darkness. Questionable. We could go back into the first room and spike the door and short rest. Also, let me roll under Kalak, I guess. 6. Okay, we're down to 7 already. A little iffy. Also, this should be, like, here, I think. Just looking over all my options. Do have Sanctuary. Could move in there just to scout it out with Sanctuary. I mean, it is a relatively safe thing to do. But it only lasts, what, 3 rounds, we said? Well, no, I don't get to know, because it's a fucking 2d6 round. So it's anybody's guess how long it actually lasts. Say 3 rounds, yes, okay. It's not very long. It's not very long when you're moving cautiously. And if she gets ambushed, I mean, that would be very bad. So I don't think it's a good plan. Is there anything else in this room that I can take note of? Not really. Just the stew, rat stew. So, fuck. And then there's also... There is a door to the east that we could go through. Alright, who's not short resting, I guess? Danton doesn't need to short rest, so he'll just be on alert. He'll be on alert just looking down that hallway while the others short rest. Which is mostly just, yeah, I guess Vilgrad could get a health back. There's not much reason not to do it. He could also recover a reroll. Alright, he'll get a reroll back. And he'll get a health back. Tress, though, continually needs short rest. Alright, well, she's gonna get HP back instead of a reroll. So she's at 11. Yeah, I'd rather short rest to get health back rather than use Cure Wounds and then short rest to maybe get Cure Wounds back. There is always the risk of double failure, even with a 15 will. So she's slowly recovering. Okay, so do the creatures then continue to wait? Like, we're sitting here for a few minutes or so, right? Isn't that how long a short rest is? Minutes, yes, a few minutes. Okay. I guess I could roll the underclock again. Usually that's for 10-minute intervals. You know, a dungeon turn. But I think we could say that every short rest in a dungeon is an underclock roll. But that, yeah, it gets a little dicey depending on how much combat you do. Because chances are you're going to short rest after every combat. I don't know. I guess it depends on how dangerous the location is and how many random encounters you want to have. I think for this place we'll leave that off. We won't do that. But I think there are places where I would do an underclock roll for every short rest to really put the pressure on. Indicates to the players generally that, yeah, this place is quite dangerous. But yeah, I don't really get the vibe from this place. A level 1 dungeon. This isn't like Barrow Maze or something like that. It's just way outside of our understanding of how expansive and dangerous it is. So would the little creatures try to come back at this point? I don't know. I guess is Danton just standing there like with his hands on his hips staring down the hallway, or is he just like, you know, leaning against the wall nearby and like peeking around the corner occasionally just to see, and he's just alert of that. Because if they look down the hallway, they have dark vision, so they can see all the way down no matter what. And we have a lamp lit. And they just see us kind of like, you know, sitting on the ground and like patching a wound or something. Tress is like bandaging her feet from getting burned by that stew. I don't know. Villagrad, I think, is the one that got burned by the stew. Would they come out? I guess let's roll the Oracle. Okay, they would. They would try and sneak towards us again. So Danton is alert. He's watching down the hallway, suspecting that they might come. So he's going to get a little +2 bonus on his perception. I could give him advantage, I guess. But it is dark. So we'll just go with +2. He fails. And he does not have detection. So this is not a skill that he's really familiar with. So, I don't know. They, he gets a little distracted, and they are quite stealthy. Well, no, I mean, because they could still fail, right? He failed by a margin of 4. So they're going to get a stealth roll. Or a dex roll, I'm sorry. And their dex, I think, was 14. 14 dex. So they're going to roll against 14 dex. Okay, they rolled a 19. Okay, that is a bigger failure margin. So Danton does notice them creeping down the hallway. And he probably just like nods to his companions. Clears his throat and just kind of nods to them out of sight, so we know that they're coming. So pretty much the same as before, except now the odds are reversed, where we're pantomiming that everything is just fine and dandy and we don't notice, but we do notice. So we're gonna get into combat again. They do not surprise us. They howl as they get real close, and combat initiates again. So we're gonna have Tress roll initiative. Terrible fucking failure. God damn it, Tress. Okay, I mean, that is what it is. So maybe we didn't expect them to just suddenly leap forward into combat. But they're gonna get a little bit of a jump on us. So yeah, right now we're just gonna go into combat. They're done fucking around because clearly we weren't gonna follow them. So we're gonna have 2 of them try to hook sword Danton, and then one's gonna throw a javelin at Corin. Okay, so the hook sword is +2 against Danton. One of them is a hit for D6 +1, 4 damage to Danton, and that one's gonna try to minor exploit in order to trip him. So this is going to be an opposed dex check. Luckily, Danton is pretty dexterous, so he's going to roll his dex. He got a success margin of 1. They get a +2 because of their hook sword, so they're also rolling against 16. They rolled a 2, so very big success. They're going to trip Danton. which doesn't really impact much. Because he's just going to stand back up again. Tripping is really only good if you have other allies that are going to capitalize on it. But yeah, and then the javelin throw to Corrin is a miss. Okay. Danton will stand in anger at this little bastard, and he's going to stab him in the face with his spear. So we will do that. Crit. Aha. Excellent. We like all that stuff. So I kill him. I really kill him. We never get to see play drama because we just kill shit. And then where did I land on the idea of minor exploit affecting a different target? I think I was against it. Yeah, I think I'm against it. I think the minor exploit is against the target you hit, and I think that's just the blanket rule, and we're gonna go with that. So Danton just kills one, and he's pleased with himself. Corrin is going to try to shoot back the one that threw a javelin at her. So longbow shot is a miss. They have 14 AC, as we said. Tress will rush in to help Danton with the other one. This is a staff bludgeon over the skull sort of thing. Also a miss. Great. And then Villagrad doesn't have a whole lot, but he can throw a dart at one. Or he could rush in with his staff as well, and we surround him for a +2 bonus. Sure. We'll use the staff. +2. There you go, a hit. For 3 damage. And we could do a minor exploit. Pocket sand? Pocket sand's pretty good. Theoretically, like any of the conditions, or many of the conditions could be applied. Like dazing. Could daze someone so that they go last in initiative order. Which means that even if we fail initiative, he still goes last. I guess not all the conditions, but yeah, you could apply near blind. You could apply grabbed. You could apply prone. I don't know if you could apply stun, but I don't know. I don't see why not. Yeah, if we go back to minor exploit. Limited to 1 target and have instant or short durations, often 1 round or less. They include tripping, pushing, disarming, or grabbing. Incapacitating effects such as stun would normally be major exploits. Okay. So anything that just removes them from consideration for a round is not a minor exploit. But yeah, if you look at the NPC ones, grab, push, prone, daze, disarm, blind are all kind of minor exploits. We could disarm him. But I think dazing is the way to go. So we'll just kind of club him over the head. Try to knock some sense into him. Do we think that's an opposed strength check then? I suppose, which isn't good for Villagrad, but we'll give it a try. Okay, we failed by 9. It's going to be unlikely for him to do worse. Yeah, I think he's fine. So no more minor exploits for Villagrad. That's the round. So now Villagrad initiative. Aha, great success. Excellent. Danton will try and stab the other one. And remember, we have +2 because we're surrounding this bastard. That is unfortunately a miss. Sorry to say. Corrin is going to try and take another shot at the javelin thrower down the hallway. Ah, finally. Right through the eye socket. Dead. Awesome. And Tress. Staff. Just trying to beat this dude with... Yeah! Beat him over the head! Yeah! Okay. Kill, kill, kill. Good, good, good. Pretty simple. I guess we'll take another short rest. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have short rested that first time. That was not a significant fight. There wasn't even really a fight. I shouldn't have been able to short rest. So we'll pretend I short rested now. I pretended to short rest the first time. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Not every encounter warrants a short rest. Significant combat. Yeah, that first one was not. Okay. But good. We killed them, so we could take their hook swords. Which I guess I would classify as a type of short sword. Does anyone want a short sword? Villagrad could use it. He can use all one-handed weapons. There's no finesse weapons in Tales of Argosa. Dex can never be used for melee attacks. So, I guess it's all kind of a horse apiece. He's got shit strength. He doesn't really want to attack anything, but it is kind of a cool weapon. So, fuck it. He'll ditch the staff. And take this hook sword. So we'll just use the short sword template and we'll call it a hook sword. +2 initiative. We'll change that to +2 to trip and disarm. And then as a natural 19 alternative, you can disarm. There you go. There's the hook sword. Villagrad likes what he sees. Tress cannot use it. She's a cultist. Restricted to bludgeoning weapons. So we're still hoping to find a warhammer or something. Okay. I think we're good here. So we move on. I guess we'll go towards where they were coming, where they came from, or where they fled to. The chamber before you is a maze of oversized gears, pulleys, rusting chains, and rotten rope. Everything in the room is coated in dust and black mold. The air is still, but in the distance you can hear a low thundering. A thin tripwire has been stretched over the doorway, so that any medium-sized or larger creature passing through the door snags the wire, causing a massive block and tackle to carom through the chamber, attacking anyone standing in the doorway +10 to hit. Okay. Here's your hook sword stats. You can use the hook sword to make trip attacks. If you're tripped during your own trip attempt, you can drop the hook sword to avoid being tripped. Okay. It's an exotic weapon. Luckily, we don't have to deal with any of that stuff. Okay, so basically, yeah, we look in and we just see a maze of gears, pulleys, rusting chains, and rotten rope. And everything's covered in like a black mold. This room just looks bad. I don't even know if we would walk through the doorway into that mess. Let's roll the Oracle. I'm going to say it's unlikely for us to walk in. So we'd have to roll 11 or higher twice, which we did. All right, well... treasure could be around any corner, so I guess we would like to fully investigate. So we're going to have a perception check to see if we notice the tripwire. So this is just going to be Tress in front, seeing if she notices it before she steps through. She just barely notices it. Is that it? I mean, is that it? Is that how I should run traps and tripwires and stuff? Well, hold on. Before I see if there's a trap section, there was a tripwire item. Does it mention that being a thing? No, it doesn't mention that being a thing. Okay, so then we want to see, like, traps or something. Dungeon crawling. Marching order. Blah, blah, blah. Dungeon events. Doesn't talk about traps at all. Let me try searching. Well, the lookout roll here for Hexploration says, for a trap or ambush, you make a perception detection test on behalf of the main group. So I think that it is intended to be the case. Wait, there is a section on traps? There is a section on traps. It was all the way at the bottom. Holy shit. Simple traps, easily ad-lib, quickly resolved, straightforward hazards such as tripwires that fire darts, false door that opens a pit, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Rarity, where and how. Spotting hazards before they go off, blah, blah. Deciding whether a check is required, modifiers. Traps are allowed to devolve into a series of dice rolls without any real player input. They quickly become dull resource sinks instead of interesting hazards. When a PC triggers a trap, instead of moving straight to the luck save, attack roll, or other effect, inform the player the nature of the trigger. A tripwire tugs at your boot, and then boldly inquire, what do you do? 3 seconds to answer. Do not be drawn into providing any extra information about the trap at this stage. The player has to the count of 3 to respond. If the proffered action makes it easier to avoid the trap, the PC gains a bonus on their luck save or attribute check, perhaps +2 or advantage. If the action makes the trap significantly harder to avoid, saver check is rolled with a penalty. Okay, I like that idea. Simple traps. You roll 2d6 to determine the trap's danger level, or choose as appropriate. Then there's the trigger and counter. So tripwire counter is to just cut / dummy line. Dummy thick? What does that mean? Dummy as a verb? Dummy as a verb? Is that what you're saying to me? There's a verb? says, especially in football and rugby, to pretend to make a particular move in order to confuse your opponent. Doesn't seem right. Dummy adjective, dummy verb. To make a dummy of something. Dummied up the front page. This doesn't seem right, but I don't know. Okay, anyways. Well, okay, well, I guess the intention is a perception check. That seems to be the most straightforward, and you can apply modifiers to it if it's really hard to notice or something, but I think this is a pretty the most bog standard trap possible. So we succeeded. She notices the tripwire across the doorway. Now cutting it, I guess that doesn't necessarily trigger. No, that wouldn't trigger it. Cutting it is the right option. Because usually, well, I don't know. Cutting it could trigger it, depending on the nature of the tripwire. I guess I don't know enough about traps and tripwires. this tripwire across the doorway somehow causes a massive block and tackle to swing through the chamber and go through the doorway. How would that work? What sort of Rube Goldbergian system is this? Where snagging this tripwire extends the cable all the way over across the chamber to this block and tackle where it gets released. Okay, so that implies that, like, all the tension of holding up this block and tackle is held within the tripwire. So then whether you snag it or cut it, either way, it's going to swing. The smart thing, obviously, is just to step over it and call it a day. But if we really didn't want to worry about it ever again, I would say the others, go back to the other room. Tress will stay here, go down on the ground, prone, and then cut it. And that's pretty likely to solve it. But perhaps she would also first step over the tripwire and look into the room and follow the tripwire to see where it leads to see what would happen if it does get triggered. In which case, I don't think it would be really difficult to notice that the wire goes up to this big block and tackle suspended on the ceiling. I guess. It doesn't really say. Except for some reason, that block and tackle, if it's activated, the room then comes alive as long frozen gears begin to spin and whirl, turning the chamber into a death trap of toothed gears, swinging pendulums, and whirling counterweights. So somehow that block and tackle trap is connected to everything else. Or if any of the gear works is disturbed. I guess it's like the mold or something that's just gummed everything up, and it just needs a bit of movement to kind of get things moving again, I guess. So, okay, like that's going to move a lot of air through the room, the block and tackle trap. It's not actually physically connected to any of this other shit. Okay, so we can see that. So she sees that, okay, two and two together, that tripwire getting cut is going to cause that to swing down. So there's not really any way to disable it without, like, climbing up and physically disconnecting the block and tackle, like, carefully, in order to prevent it from swinging down with force. And I assume it's pretty heavy. It's 3d4 damage. So I think we just kind of step over it. But I think the better, I think obviously we're gonna, I don't know, would we touch any of this gears or anything? I feel like we wouldn't do anything here. I mean, we'd probably look around a little bit, but we wouldn't see any treasure in here, so we would just be like, okay, well, that's it. I guess let's roll the Oracle again. Unlikely that we touch any of the gears. Okay, we do not. So, we're going to go back because there was that other doorway. So we'll go to room 4. Hold on. Okay, so we continue on. The stone stairs descend to a platform that reaches out over a dark crevasse. The walls of the cavern fall away to either side, vanishing into inky gloom. Across a roughly 6-foot gap stands another platform. A massive chain descends from the ceiling down the center of the chamber between the platforms. From below can be heard the rumble of a thundering waterfall. So this is what we're looking at. There's a chain from up above. There's another platform over on the other side. And just descent. Just nothing. We don't even know what's down there. Show players handout A. Okay, so they can really see the situation. Okay. The chain once operated a lift that ran between 2 levels of the Silver Here complex. The galleries and lift cage have since been destroyed. The chain still runs between the levels, but there's no lift to ride in. Also, there's no apparent means of operating the chain. At the time the adventurers enter the chamber, the chain ends 40 feet short of the platform to area 1-7. Okay, and 1-7 would be, yeah, the next stop down. So it ends 40 feet above there. Yikes. A close inspection of the eastern platform turns up a series of holes bored into the east wall. These are 8 holes set in 2 vertical rows of 4 that climb up the east wall. Each hole is 2 inches across, over 4 inches deep. If the heroes dig into the holes with a knife or poniard, they find rotten wood chips. The holes once supported a wooden ladder and platform. The wall can be scaled with the DC 15 climb check. 15 feet above the eastern platform are 3 levers set into an alcove. The operation of the lift is simple. Pulling on the right lever causes the chain to rise. Pulling on the center lever causes the chain to stop. Pulling on the left lever causes the chain to descend. Chain can rise up to the level of the platform in area 1-4, descend to the level of the platform in area 1-7. So that's only going to work if all the gears and everything has been active in the gear room. So even if we found that right now and we pulled the levers, nothing would happen. There are several ways for the adventurers to descend to areas 1-7 and 1-8. Creative PCs are likely to come up with their own strategies. Rappel down, rope use DC 15 and 130 feet of rope. Climb down the cavern wall, climb down the chain, cling to the chain while the chain descends. Attach the cauldron in area 1-2 to the chain and ride in the cauldron. And it's 120 feet from 1-4 to 1-7, another 250 feet to area 1-12. Alright, what is our solution, knowing everything that we know? Well, rope is tricky. We only have 60 feet of rope, so there's not a whole lot we can do about that. And the assumption is that we want to get down. I think we're all pretty clear on that. We want to go down there. There's more to this complex. But I don't know if we would necessarily think that, because there was that other way that we didn't go. There is this hallway we didn't go down. Ultimately, it's not a very good way to go. But I think it's reasonable. We might think like, oh, well, this is shit. Let's go back that other way and go down that other hallway. So let's roll an oracle. Like, do we stay here to go down the chain? Okay, we do. So we're focused on this problem then. So 60 feet of rope. We might think that we want to get over to that other platform. I know that it's not going to do anything. But I could see someone thinking to do it. So I guess what we could do is attach the hook sword that we picked up to rope, and then try and like hook onto the chain to pull it over to our side, and then swing across to the other platform. Let's say I wanted to do that. What would we roll? Well, it's probably going to be sort of a ranged attack, so it's going to be a perception roll. So, Corin, or should I roll on a perception attack? Or just a perception check? Maybe a perception check with like -2. I think is maybe fair. Okay, we got it, just barely. So she hooks onto the chain, pulls it in, and then she's going to, well, she's not going to. She's got terrible dexterity. She's going to swing over. Someone's going to swing over to the other side. I don't even know if it is really a check. I feel like this is kind of easy, but I guess the letting go at the right moment is pretty important. So, I guess it will be a dex check. So we'll have Tress go over. I can never risk Danton. He's too valuable. I think this is an easier check, though. So I'm actually going to give +2 to this one. Okay. She didn't even need it. So she swings over to the other platform. She sees the holes in the wall. She'll roll a perception, I guess. See what she sees. Great success. Perfect. So she sees all the holes in the wall, and she'll figure out that they contain wood chips, and that it probably once supported a ladder. So she could climb up to find the levers, which I guess she'll do. So this is just a straight dex check. Success, barely. Okay, so she climbs up there, 15 feet up, and she finds 3 levers in an alcove. And she decides to pull one. And nothing happens. And she pulls another one, nothing happens. She pulls another one, nothing happens. Would we realize that it's connected to the gear room? I think that's likely. We could roll an int check. Yeah, I guess, instead of an oracle. Okay, Villagrad does not put 2 and 2 together. But we have to account for players just thinking of it, so I will roll an oracle regardless. Alright, we do think of it. One of these 4 players thinks of it. I don't know why you wouldn't think of it, really. So Tress, or whoever said, like, oh, we should go back to the gear room and try and get the gears going. There was also another hallway. So, yeah, because we went down this way, but we could have gone this way and found the other side of the gear room. So maybe we go that way. No tripwire there. And I guess, yeah, we're just gonna then, like, poke around a little bit to try and find, like, an on button. And in doing so, we probably disturb the gears and the whole thing activates. So I think that's fine. You can take a full round action to make a 5-foot step safely. So there's not really any danger as long as you're being very careful to try and extricate yourself. So now we're good. And now we can try the levers. And we see that it causes... The right lever causes the chain to raise. Center lever stops it. Left lever descend. So now we can raise and lower the chain. Except we have to... someone has to pull the lever. And the chain can go only up to 1-4. Or down to 1-7. So whoever is doing the lever is going to have to manually climb down. And I guess it's going to be Tress. So yeah, we're going to the 3 others are going to cling to the chain while it descends. And then Tress is going to have to grab the chain once they're down there and then manually climb down herself, which is going to be a little risky for sure. There is a good chance of death here. But we do have the rescue exploit. Might happen if we can come up with a plan. Should I come up with a plan ahead of time? That would be smart. Horan is our strongest character, but I think Danton has the strength and dexterity that might be required. So, once the 3 of us go down... Oh, also I should roll underclock. Okay, it's down to 3. So we're going to get an omen here of our imminent encounter before we climb down. This is just ripe for nonsense. Yeah, I think we're going to have to roll on the second one here. Okay, 2. So it's small monstrous spider. one spider. I don't even know how we would really... How would I warn players about this? What an odd random encounter. I mean, it's a monstrous spider, so it still must be of some kind of decent size. It can web medium-sized targets, so this must be the size of like a dog or something. Okay. I don't know. Spiders are usually pretty quiet. So it'd have to be like webs or something. That's usually what you would do. I don't know. Or you could just skip the omen. Like, yeah, you guys don't notice anything. Just be mean about it. I don't have to give you information. Otherwise, it would just be like, I don't know, you hear like skittering sounds, you know, echoing off the what is this called? Tunnel? The chamber? Crevasse? Yeah, you hear skittering sounds echoing around the crevasse. That's pretty ominous. I feel like they would probably wait. But now we have one person on the other side. If she gets ambushed by herself, and a spider, I would absolutely have the spider come up on her side of the platform. So she either has to like sit there and wait, or we just do this quickly and hope for the best. I guess we'll do that. So, yeah, we're gonna lower the chain. 2 of them are gonna get off the chain, just for safety's sake, because Villegrad's strength is abysmal. And then, Danton will stay on the chain, just in case Tress falls while climbing down. He could maybe grab her before she plummets. So that's the plan here. Okay, so well, all we need to do then is the 3 characters going down have to roll a strength check. Just, you know, if they hold on. I think that's relatively easy. So I'd probably give a +2 to that. Villegrad still has weak arms, so he might suffer. But yeah, we'll give +2 for this roll. Alright, Tress. Oh, Tress didn't even need to roll. Fucking... Oh yeah. Whatever, Villegrad. Great success. Nice. Well, that was the one I was most worried about. Corin can practically only... She only fails on a crit fail. She's fine. And then Danton, again, very high odds of success. Terrible failure. But he has athletics. I put con, but I don't know if I was supposed to choose or not. I don't know if it's just both athletics or if I had to pick one or the other. I have no idea. I think it's either or. I think if you have athletics, it functions for both types of athletics. So, really, he should have had a +1. So, he should have been an 18, but he can also spend a reroll. So, he's going to do that. So this should really be +3. Okay, there we go. Reroll, all good. Thank goodness for having athletics due to being a fighter. Okay, so now the other 2 are going to hop off onto 1-7. So let me see the map. Okay, yeah, there's just a landing platform there. We can probably see another platform on the other side, or another opening in the wall. But the chain here is, yeah, kind of meant for, dropping off here. So that's where we're going to drop off. I'm not going to have a check for that. We just hop off. Pretty simple task. And so now Tress is going to have to climb down. Are we counting this as a dex check or no? Well, athletics. So I think this is strength. Technically, I already rolled for her and she succeeded. So we're good. Okay, so she drops off. And then Danton, yeah, okay, so everyone's good. We all succeeded. There's a little scary moment there, but we're good. Now roll underclock. Right to 0, which means it goes back to 3. So I guess in this case, now we see webs all over the place. And it's like, well, you know, it's probably going to happen. Probably going to happen. We have to let it happen. So we have to keep going. We're not just going to stand here. This is a terrible spot to do a fight. We're on this, like, precarious platform overlooking the abyss. So I think we're just going to move forward. The chamber is lit with a soft, gloomy light radiating from overgrown giant mushrooms. The floor is covered in a thick carpet of rotting hummus? Hummus? That cannot be what the word... No, this is... Humus. Dark organic matter in soil that is formed by the decomposition of plant and animal matter. Okay, not hummus. It's a very different thing. You wouldn't want to eat humus.
Humus.
Humus, yeah, don't eat humus. But you can eat hummus. Are humus and hummus the same? No, they're quite different things, actually. That's the first time I've ever encountered that word. And so one of those things, it's like, you're sitting here as a DM and you just read this off to your players and they're like, oh yeah, nodding, yes, of course. Of course we know what rotting humus is. The air stinks of stagnant water and decay. Near the southwest corner is a stone spiral staircase that ascends into darkness. At the far end of the room, you see a pair of golden doors overgrown with thick roots. A dozen large mushrooms dominate the chamber, with hundreds of smaller specimens littering the floor. All of the larger mushrooms glow with a faint luminescence. Together, they shed light equivalent to a clear moonless night. Every spongy step releases the stench of decaying bodies, and a DC 15 spot check allows adventurers to note the bones of humanoids, primarily orcs and sea hell, half buried in the humus. The superstitious sea hell are right to fear this chamber, usually approaching no closer than the platform. The stairs go up to Area 1-6. The roots over the western doors are actually the tentacles of a subterranean assassin vine. The vine lashes out at anything that comes within reach, devouring its prey, then casting the remains out into the chamber. When the heroes approach the door, show the players player handout B. Doors are secured by a gnomish puzzle lock. Okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Right. So before we get to that, we're gonna roll for the underclock again. There we go. Alright, now the spider's gonna come out. So, spider's probably pretty stealthy, I would imagine. If I was gonna spitball. We have Tales of Argosa giant spider or spider giant. Let me just see here. They have 16 decks. I guess I'm just assuming that it's combat, but we could roll a reaction check. 2 to 5 hostile, 6 to 8 hungry, 9 to 12 cautious. Most of those sound like combat, but I'll roll. Okay, it's hungry. Well, you know what it's got to do when it's hungry. So maybe it's like right above us at the moment. So it's probably going to try to web whoever's last in line. So we'll have that person roll perception, which is going to be Corin, against its stealth. She rolled a 20, so I think we don't even have to bother unless I also roll a 20. I did not. Alright, so she does not notice, and she's going to get the web attack on her. Do we want to just use the stats here? This is much bigger, I think. Let's look at the stats for the spider. So it has 4 HP, 14 AC, plus 4 attack, for 1d4 minus 2 plus poison. I mean, the AC I'm not entirely opposed to. It's a 17 dex, which I think would be plus 3. So, yeah, we could say 14. I think that's fair. And then, the bite attack, though, that's a little high. I think we'd go with plus 1 or plus 2. 1d4 minus 2. And then the poison. Fortitude DC 10, 1d3 strength, initial and secondary. I don't know exactly what that means. I played 3.5 edition like once or twice, maybe. It was actually my first RPG experience was 3.5, because that was this would have been when I was like 14 or 15, and I had a friend who was into it, and there was a sleepover one night, and he ran some sort of little adventure, and it was a fucking disaster. Like, I don't even remember what it was, but I know it was not good. But it kind of captivated me, and I do remember actually going out and buying, like, the 3.5 edition handbook, and then just sitting around for, like, a good number of hours. I recall just sitting in my room, and I made up, like, 9 characters. So I was like, oh, man. And that was a weird experience, but I can't wait to play again. And then I wouldn't play D&D again for, like, 7 years when 4th edition came out. And I was just sitting around with friends and like, wait a minute, we're fucking nerds. Why aren't we playing D&D? And so it began. So I don't really remember the 3.5 edition at all, and any of these like specific rules. So I think it's meant to be if there's an initial effect and then 1 minute later. Yeah, 1 minute later, you're going to roll a second time. So basically after the combat's over. Okay, I think we can keep that. That's fine. And then the web attack to 8 times per day, blah, blah, blah. Similar to an attack with a net. Okay, so it would be an attack roll against AC. And then if you fail, you have to either make a escape artist check or a strength check. I'm pretty sure Tales of Argosa has rules for escaping grabs anyways. Grabbed. Nope, okay. It's literally just opposed strength check. That's it. There's no escape. Okay. That's all fine, I think. We'll do all that. So it's going to, she failed, so it's going to get a surprise on her with the web. So it's going to get advantage on a +2 against her AC of 15. 11, no, this is Corin. So 11, really abysmal. Yeah, it definitely got her. So she webs her up. Now it's hungry. This is a dumb move, obviously. This is not an isolated target that it can pick off. And I guess if it was like Spider-Man, and it could specifically web up her mouth so she couldn't say anything, but that's far too much intelligence to give to this spider. So she yelps out in surprise, and combat initiates. So she's webbed up. She's gonna have to make an opposed strength check. This thing's strength is 7. That seems kind of low compared to 14. Yes. Okay, 14. All right. Initiative, though. Tress rolling initiative. She succeeds. All right. So, Corin is going to try to break free. She's got pretty good odds here. She succeeds by 6. She succeeds by 6. It fails. So she is going to quickly break out of the webs. Did it say that was not an action, though? That's so wild to me. Oppose strength check, no action. That doesn't seem right. I can't imagine many games have that. Let me look at Shadow the Weird Wizard real quick. This would be here. Probably like action in combat. Although I don't know if it would be an overcome action. No, there's definitely rules for escaping. Escape. You can attempt to escape by making a strength or agility roll against strength or agility. No, I guess it doesn't really say that it's an action. This isn't under the attack action, or it's not on. Well, it sort of is. I feel like it's not very clear. D&D 5th edition, it's an action. Usually you'd think it's an action. Although this is a web. I don't know, I'm conflicted. 3.5 edition, it's an action. It seems weird to make it not an action. No action. I mean, it couldn't be clearer, though. There's like no arguing here as far as the intent. It says no action. Unless, no, there is an argument. It means that you don't get an action that turn. Which I think is a reach. I think that's a reach as to the intent. I could check the Discord. Hold on, give me a moment. I highly doubt I'm going to find an answer here, but I will check the Discord. Okay, no, I mean, this is very clear. This is from the designer himself talking about the grab action. He says, if you have a poor strength, the grab is not a good option as the target can break it. Strength versus strength, no action. So they break it, then get their full turn. Yes, this is 100% clear now. He intends it to be not an action to just break out of a grab. I assume that you only get one attempt per turn. Otherwise, what would be the point? I think that should be labeled here. But yes, no action. I don't agree with it. I mean, I'll say that. I don't agree with the decision. But yeah, okay, so she broke out. And now she just gets to pull out her bow real quick and shoot the spider. seems weird, but yeah, she missed anyways. Danton has a spear, so he can definitely spear this thing on the ceiling. So he will do that. Miss. I said it has an AC of 14. I abided by that. Beyond that, I guess Tress probably could reach it with her staff. It is a second rank weapon, so I'll allow that. She'll try to club it over the head. Miss. Okay. And then Villagrod, who only has darts. So I guess he'll throw a dart. Yes, that is correct. Okay, well, he definitely did 5 points of damage to it. This thing has 4 hit points. So if we're following these stats, he threw a dart into its face and it died. Not much of an encounter. Had we gone with the Tales of Argosa giant spider, it would have quite a bit more health. It would have 11. Which seems a bit more fair. But this is also a 6-foot long spider. This is a giant spider. Ours is a small monstrous spider. So I think we'll just abide by it. Not much of an encounter there. And that was like best case for that spider. Unless it won initiative. That would be the only thing better. Okay, anyways. That was that. Not amazing. So we have then the room filled with gloomy light, giant mushrooms. Air stinks of stagnant water and decay. The floor is just covered in rotting dirt and soil. There's a spiral staircase and a pair of golden doors overgrown with thick roots. Alright, well, we're gonna approach. And, handout B is what we see. Okay, that's what we see. This weird door with the open mouth. We see the mushrooms there. And then vines creeping down. And of course, the vines are an assassin vine. CR3 large plant. This thing is messy. Oh boy. It's got 4 hit dice plus 12 for 30 health. Yeah, this thing is killer. But it's very slow to move. It does have 20-foot reach with its vines. I think, I think we are going to rule that this thing gets advantage on its dex save for stealth. You could rule it as a perception check with disadvantage. But we'll give it a stealth check. So I assume this is not in Tales of Argosa. I wouldn't really imagine it to be. There's a vine puppet, but that's probably quite a bit different. Vine puppet. Cursed creeper plants imbued with evil spirits or magic seeping from the veil and corrupted ley line. They adopt humanoid shapes in a ghastly parody of men. I guess it's sort of similar, but yeah, 7 fucking hit dice. 2d8 damage plus grab. Well, that's a little bit more dangerous than I want. What is this music? Okay, this song is apparently titled Bane of the Deep. And the video is titled Dark King Grim. And this is the music you're throwing at me? All this music is just not quite correct. Anyways. So we'll go with, I guess, the stats for the Assassin Vine here. And it has a dex of 10, surprisingly. It does have a camouflage thing, so this is just a DC 20 spot check. I don't know. Do I want to make this a perception check with disadvantage or bump up its dex and give it advantage? All right, we'll go dex 12 with advantage. Okay, it succeeds by 1. So now one of us has to make a perception check normally and succeed by at least 1. So I guess it's going to be Orin, as usual, our sharp-eyed shooter. Failure. Okay, so we do not realize that this is actually a hostile entity. So it is going to get a surprise attack on somebody. Which means advantage, which means very bad. It's not going to get a +7. It's going to get a +4. Dealing 1d6 plus whatever its strength is, I suppose. Fucking 20 strength. Does that happen too often? I don't think so. Even the Vine Puppet here only has a 17. And also has no bonus on its damage, so I don't think we really... Monsters, I guess, don't really get bonus damage the way that humans do from strength. So their damage is all pretty fixed, so we will follow that pattern. And we'll just go with, like, 2d6. Which is still quite dangerous, but not as bad as 1d6 plus 7. But, yeah, 3.5 edition, different numbers, much higher health, blah, blah, blah. Although, first level, not really. That's gonna smoke most first level characters, I think. Right, so, we will just do 2d6. We could even do 2d4, I guess, but we'll make this thing relatively dangerous. So 2d6. And it, basically, yeah, okay. It has an improved grab ability. We kind of want to represent that, I think. Well, the Vine Puppet, if it hits, it just automatically applies grab. So I think we'll just go with that. I think that's fine. And then it has Constrict, where it deals another bit of damage with a successful grapple check. I think we'll just do auto damage. If on its turn somebody's grappled, it'll just do an auto 2d6. That's usually how we like to do it. Alright, so out front is Tress, so she's going to be targeted. This is d20 plus 4 twice because of the surprise. 15 is just enough to hit, unfortunately. So 2d6 damage to her. 10. Oh, God. So she's down to 1, and she gets grabbed. And now we roll initiative. We fail. So she immediately takes 2d6 again. And she's down. She gets choked out instantly. Jesus Christ. Do I want to give it a second attack in addition to that? Or do we... I think that's good enough. I think this is dangerous enough. So, that's it. I guess Danton will leap in and try and stab this thing. And we're going with an AC of... It gives it an AC of 15. I think that's a little high. Divine Puppet only has a 14, so we'll say... We're gonna go with 12. Let's say 12. AC of 12, 30 hit points. Miss. Of course we do. Corin will try and shoot it somehow. Crit! Alright, nice. No missile trauma because it was a crit, and only Danton gets that. But still, 10 damage is a third of its health in one shot. We like that. We like that plenty. Vilgrod could summon, yeah, I guess Vilgrod's gonna summon an elemental. Because hopefully this thing will just grapple onto this big earth elemental. So he's gonna use Spellcraft. He has to succeed on the int check, which he does. So he summoned the earth elemental out of the ground. And it gets an immediate turn to attack. So it's going to roll +1. 12. Yeah, that's a hit for D4. 1 damage. Okay. It's at 19 health. And that is everybody. So second round. Fail again. So now it's going to attack. Will it attack the elemental? I don't know. It seems unlikely. It's really between the elemental or Danton. So I guess we'll roll an oracle here. Does it attack Danton? It does not. It goes for the giant earth elemental, even though Danton crit it. You know, the earth elemental looks scary. So it's going to try to attack this. It rolled a 4. That is a miss, no doubt. Danton will attack again. 6 more damage. So it's at 13. Corin's going to try shooting it again. It's at 3. I could also be doing minor exploits, but I'm not really sure what I would do here with a vine monster. The earth elemental also hits for 1 damage, so it's at 2. And I guess Vilgrod will throw a dart. 2 damage. Perfect. Jesus. Okay, excellent. So now we have to see if Tress survived. A second time. I think this is her second time she's done this. She really needs a shield. I should give Danton's shield to her. But then, yeah, she has to... No, you don't have to use a staff two-handed. That's just an option. So I think he should give her a shield if she survives. So it's, it's a luck save? Is that what we say? Well, doesn't it just tell me my death save somewhere? I could have sworn that information is present somewhere. Death save 12. Okay. Success! Okay. Yep. So she is going to recover after a few minutes and then roll on the injury and setback table. Which actually is a rollable table here. Roll. A random piece of battle gear has been damaged. Until repaired, the item cannot be used, impose a disadvantage, or suffer some other penalty as the GM determines. Okay, well that is a really good roll, all things considered. So it's one random piece of battle gear. So it's either our lantern, the oil flask, her staff, or her armor. So I guess we'll roll a d4. It is the lantern has been broken. That's actually insanely bad. Now I take back what I said. Our lantern broke, and we have no torches and no replacement. So we're plunged into darkness. I like that it didn't break during the fight, though, because we wouldn't know until the end. We don't roll on this until the end. So it just suddenly went out now. Like it was leaking or something during the battle and now goes out. And it's busted. So now we're in darkness. In the middle of this fucking dungeon. And the only way out is, like, theoretically to go back up the chain. Technically there's stairs here going up. But that's not a way out. To be clear, that is not a way out. Oh, this is really shitty. I mean, what would you do? Really, realistically, you are quite fucked. This is worst case scenario sort of stuff. I can't believe we didn't pack an extra. Can we repair the lantern in the dark? Yeesh. Yeesh. I think there is rules for some repair somewhere. Repair. Repairing damage here generally takes several hours and costs half the original purchase price. PCs with a relevant class, background, or custom skill might be able to perform their own repairs, assuming tools, etc. We don't have tools. Although Danton, I think, was supposed to take laborers' tools. But I don't think he has any background. I don't think anyone here has any background that would help with fixing a lantern. So I don't think that's going to be an option. So what we could try to do is so well, wait a minute. What does she go back to? Does she go to 1? Yeah, 1. She's at 1. And then I guess she can short rest, right? Or is that her short rest? I'm not quite sure. I would imagine she can, like, patch herself up, so she'll get a short rest. Okay. She goes back to 7. I don't know if that's the intent or not. Maybe that's too casual. That might be too casual. I don't know. But that's what happened. And we want Villagrad to short rest to get back his ability use for spellcraft. We could also have Danton. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't he? There's really practically no penalty here. No, I'm not going to use a reroll, though. Okay, so we're in the dark. We could, like, break her staff in half and use that to make, like, improvised torches. Because we still have oil and, I mean, cloth. Like, we could just rip up, I don't know, a shirt or something. So I think we could make improvised torches. In the dark, it's pretty... Oh, we're not in the dark, though. This room is glowing. Haha. Ho ho. Haha. We are not actually in the dark. Soft, gloomy light radiating from overgrown giant mushrooms. All of the larger mushrooms glow with a faint luminescence, shedding light equivalent to a clear moonless night. It's not great, but we can see as if it was a clear moonless night, which is enough to make our improvised torches. So we're going to do that. We're going to break her staff. I'm going to bust that. We're going to use the oil flask and coat them. And we'll say we get 2 torches out of it for this 6-foot staff or whatever. So how long does a torch last? That, I feel, is more going to be our normal timer. It's not even going to say, though. Yeah, we'll make that the normal timer of an hour. So now we're going to drop the light down to 6. And I think for all that, I'm going to roll the underclock down to 15. Let's see, gear, torch. Okay, so this is going to be 2 torches. And we're going to move that over to battle gear because she's going to be the torch bearer. So she's actually got that equipped. Yeah. Good. Okay, it won't count as an equipped weapon, but it is. She's holding it. What if happens if I just click this? Does that just link it to chat? Use torch. Yeah, okay. Well, she's holding it. She's lit it. We've got light again, baby. Crisis averted. Because that could be really bad if you had no other option. I'd have to, like, take some of these giant mushrooms and hold one as we try and navigate our way out of here. Okay. Whew. So the doors are secured by a gnomish puzzle lock cast in the shape of a roaring frost giant head. Instantly recognizable to any gnome or dwarf, a puzzle lock employs a complex series of tumblers to confound and confuse thieves. To open the lock, a person must place his hands inside the mouth of the giant and manipulate the tumblers using only his sense of touch. Tricky. So basically, we're going to make this a traps and locks check, which is dexterity, which is really bad because the only one with traps and locks is Corin, and her dexterity is terrible. So it's going to be Tress, I'm sure. Now we'll have Danton do it. Yeah, we'll have Danton do it. So no rerolls here, no +1. And basically, I'm going to say that if you get a success, a normal success, it's going to be no result. Nothing's going to happen. If you fail, it's going to be this blast of brown mold powder. If you get a terrible failure, it's going to be this hand-crushing thing. If you get a great success, the western doors will open. And if you get a 1, then you get this effect of the southern secret door opening. So that's what we're going to do. So no rerolls here or anything. We'll have everyone stand back because we have no idea what's going to happen with this thing. And it's just prudent. So here we go. Great success. Huzzah! So first try, Danton. He's the man. He's too good. He gets the western door to pop open. Click. And all good. The doors are decorated in a sheet of hammered gold depicting traditional enemies of gnomes, dragons, giants, ogres, and kobolds. The pair of hammered sheets are examples of remarkable craftsmanship and worth 500 gold pieces each if delivered intact. Each thin sheet is 6 feet by 6 feet and extremely fragile, making transportation extremely difficult. If folded, bent, or otherwise damaged, their value is reduced to a fraction of their original worth. If sold for the gold, each sheet is worth a mere 50 gold pieces. Yeah, okay, I don't think we're going to be able to really handle that. Also, I've been forgetting about XP again. Again, it's another foreign concept to me that I'm just not used to handing out. So ideally, I'd be DMing for a group that is very cognizant of XP and just always make sure to remind me, like, hey, do we get XP for that? we defeated this, we solved this, we did that, we found this. That would probably help me get in the mindset. But okay, so what have we done? Basically, I haven't given out XP this whole session. So we killed the sea hell. That's 1 XP. So up to 4. Then we figured out well, technically we found the tripwire, but more importantly, we figured out the chain and got down there. So that'll be probably another XP for that. I think is fine. We beat the spider, but I don't know if I want to really give that. But I think probably 2 XP for that assassin mine, because that thing could have been really dangerous. So we did really well that fight. And then we solved this door, so I think that's an XP. So I think we're up to 8. I think that's a reasonable number. So there's a secret door in the southern wall. Over there. Which, I don't know if we would search this room. This room just smells bad, and there's mushrooms everywhere. I think we'd be very wary of this room, so we'll say it's unlikely I searched the room methodically. Okay, yeah, we don't. So what are we missing out on? Well, the lost treasures of the Underfolk. 2 silver-plated coffers, legendary heirlooms of the Silver Hero clan, guarded by a deadly trap. Portcullis falls over the entrance to the room, trapping anyone inside. The following round, the east wall begins to move, crushing everything in its path. The adventurers have 5 rounds to act before they're caught in the death trap. Heroes will have to think, not roll their way out of the trap. So they could break down the portcullis. Good luck, man. Jesus. Break DC 25, hardness 10, HP 60. That's not likely to happen. Lift the portcullis. Okay, there you go. DC 20 strength check. I'll have to find a way to wedge it so the strongman can escape, though. Brace the wall. Adventurers can use their weapons to brace the crushing wall against the west wall. Success is not a given, since weapons are not built to withstand crushing along the long axis. Weapon must succeed on a DC 20 fortitude save or be sundered. Or brace the wall with the coffers, which are 1 foot wide, 1 foot deep, 3 feet long. Square and crafted of silver-plated iron, the coffers stop the crushing wall without fail. Regardless, after 10 rounds, the wall retreats and the portcullis raises. Okay, yeah, you're bracing it with those silver coffers. Silver-plated iron. Yeah. Nice. And then you'd get... Oh boy, man, you'd get some good shit. 2 pearls of power. A +1 warhammer. 3 gold ingots worth 100 gold pieces each. A cloak of elven kind. A mithril shirt. Magical heads to 5 +1 crossbow bolts. And a single large emerald worth 350 gold pieces wrapped in silk. Quite a bit worth it. Also, decent chance of just death. I mean, not for us, because we could just use passage to open a big hole in the wall or whatever and leave. But, yeah. For most groups, a little tricky. But yeah, we don't notice it, so we don't get any of that good shit, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. But we're going to continue on through the door. Now, there's also the staircase, so I guess maybe we check out the staircase first. So we'll climb up the staircase, Tress up front with her torch, up to room 6. The stairs lead to a small chamber that stinks of a butcher's slaughterhouse, the air thick with the smell of bloody feathers. A hulking shape looms in the darkness, massive and ominously silent. The chamber is home to a young owlbear. Captured and trained by the sea hell when it was but a cub, the owlbear attacks ferociously, and though it has no sense of tactics, the PCs are forced to contend with fighting their way up the stairs. Unless the heroes aggressively force their way into the chamber, the owlbear receives a +1 bonus for attacking from high ground. So that's assuming I come from the... yeah, from this side. Okay, so we don't. So we're kind of poking our head up, and yeah, we see the young owl bear. And there's no reaction roll here. It's quite clear that it attacks ferociously, and it's been trained to just be an attack dog. So it just lunges at us and growls. Would it follow us down the stairs? It doesn't really say that it doesn't leave the room. But if it could leave the room, why isn't it? I don't know. I guess it could. It's ferocious. It's an attack. It's designed to just attack anything that's not a weird, creepy gnome. So, yeah, I think this is going to be combat. And that's a shame because it is kind of tough. It's got 33 hit points. AC is a little high. With a 12 dex. It has, after years of living in the crystal's cavern, the owlbear's feathers are covered in the same dark crystals that coat the walls. Each time a PC hits the owlbear, the attack crushes the crystals, causing them to flare brightly before slowly fading. So, yeah, but it says that you can wear the pelt as armor, and it has -1 armor check penalty. Oh, that's for dex. Right, yeah. So, I guess we could give it a better... yeah, it gives non-magical +1 armor bonus. So its dex would really only warrant it like a... nothing. Like a no AC, but I don't think monsters work on that same scale. I also don't think there's an owlbear stat here. There is, my goodness. I always think that owlbear is one of those monsters that Wizards of the Coast owns, but it's not. Which is really weird, because it seems like very D&D exclusive thing. Like, Beholders, or... what else do they own? The Blink dogs or whatever, right? There's a list somewhere. Beholder, Carrion Crawler, Displacer Beast, that's it. Githyanki, Githzerai, Mind Flayers, Umberhulk, Slod, Wanti. Because those were all creatures that they invented at some point, so they have ownership to them. But a lot of monsters are just based on mythology. But it's like, were owlbears a thing that existed? No, they were created for D&D. By Gygax. I just don't understand how they don't own that. I guess they also don't own the Boulette and the Rust Monster, which were also created by Gygax. Interesting. It's definitely, yeah, I mean, it's thing very much associated with D&D, though. It was in the D&D movie pretty prominently. stuff like that. But yeah, anybody can use it. Huh. Okay, so the owlbear, 13 AC, 6 hit dice plus 3, which would be about 30 health. Yeah, about 30 health. Okay, 2 claw attacks and a bite attack. Natural 19. Luck dex saver, you get a limb torn off. If both claws hit, there's a bear hug. Luck con saver, broken ribs. Yeah, they're pretty nasty. And then it just randomly says... You just randomly have stats here for giant apes? For giant apes, use owlbear base, but dex 14, throw boulders. And it's like, I guess I get it, but if I'm looking for a giant ape stat, I'm not going to go like, oh, owlbear, that's right. I can use the owlbear stats. That wouldn't really be my first thought. Yeah, they didn't want to just reprint a separate stat block for giant apes, even though that does help a lot for usability. I don't know. Anyways, okay. So, we will just roll initiative. No surprise here. Great success. Okay, good. Was it even heavy? Was it a heavy? It's not a heavy. No, not a heavy. Okay, well, Corin is going to shoot it immediately, because, you know, it seems clear that it's hostile and wants to kill us, so there's no ifs, ands, or buts here. She's going to fire an arrow. She fumbled, which means nothing, because it's just out there. Okay, so that sucks, but she does get +2 on her next shot. Danton is going to be the hero that we need him to be, and he's going to charge in with his spear, and he gets a free melee attack. I keep forgetting about long reach. That's right. So his default is opportunist, but he's going to use adaptable to get a free melee attack when first engaging a foe. So here's the free one. 8 damage. Perfect. So it's down to, we'll use the 30 HP. So it's down to 21. And then he gets a second one. Another 7. Damn, Danton! So, it was at 30... No, it was at 22. And now it's at 15. So it's wounded. Danton fucked it up good, man. And then, I guess... Should we summon an Earth Elemental again? It is kind of the go-to strat. Yeah, I mean, what else is he going to do? Throw a dart? Fuck that. Summon an Elemental. Int check. Success. Okay, and it's going to swing at the owlbear. Missing. Fine. Tress only has a torch. I don't know if there are any rules anywhere for improvised weapons, which is kind of annoying. I feel like there should be rules for improvised weapons. Alright, just a sec. Check the Discord again. Keep forgetting minor exploits. Forever and ever, I will forget. I think it's a lot easier to remember when you have one character and that's your whole turn and you want to squeeze the most out of your one turn in combat. and you have a whole group that's like, dude, minor exploit, try and trip them, throw pocket sand, blah, 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 you know? Me, it's just like, and I'm juggling a lot of stuff at once. All right, here we go. This person says I have them do a D3, D4, D6, depending on which one sounds better for the item. If you roll over 3, 4, or 6 damage respectively, I'll have the improvised item break. Okay. Well, oh yeah, okay, yeah. So, when in doubt, especially for a torch, what is a torch if not a club? So, man, because clubs are free, often masquerading as a branch, fire log, or table leg. So anybody can just use a club. It's all over the place. You can always have a club in hand. 1d6 damage. That's it. It's very simple. And breaking a staff into 2 clubs, I think, is pretty reasonable. So she could wield the other torch as a club. So I guess Tress will also run in with the other torch and try and smack this. And there's a +2 because it's surrounded again. Okay, she missed, but it's alright. Now the owlbear gets to go. It's definitely focused on Danton, no doubt about it. And it gets like +5 on its attack rolls, which is pretty significant. 6? That's right, 6. And hopefully it doesn't hit with both claws. Alright, so +6. 1, miss. 2, hit. 3, miss. So it hit with 1 claw on Danton, which is going to be 1d6 plus 2 damage. Seven damage to Danton. He's down to 7. Ow! Ow, ow. New initiative. Success. Perfect. Well, Danton will follow it up. Why wouldn't he? Another 8 damage. Okay. So it's at 7 health. We're really putting this thing out of its misery. And we will we'll go for a minor exploit to try and trip it. Did we say that was okay? I see. I already know I'm gonna have to come back to this owlbear. Yeah, strength. Oppose strength. Oppose dex to like pocket sand or disarm. I mean, you know, you can do whatever you want, but these are the examples. So, yeah, this would be an opposed strength, which makes sense. So we probably don't want to do that because it's a fucking owlbear. So we probably want to do pocket sand here. Yeah. All right, he'll throw pocket sand. He succeeds by 4. It fails, I think. So pocket sand, 33% blind. Mischance. Perfect. Tress will swing her club again. +2. That is a hit for d6 damage. 4 damage. It's down to 4. Vilgrod his elemental will swing. Hit. For 2 damage. He's down to 2 health. Vilgrod himself will come in with his hook sword. Here we go. with +2 on the roll. Yeah! Dude, we're dominating. Dominating, man. This game's too easy. Yeah, single targets tend to just get swarmed and massacred. When you have the surrounded bonus, and you can do minor exploits left and right, and you roll well, it's just, yeah, obliterated. So that's good. We can short rest. Tress can short rest again. That was significant combat. She double failed. Villagrod to get his... yeah, he'll get his ability point back. Her ability use, and his HP. Corrin is good. Corrin's fine. And then Danton wants a rest. Double great success. 1 and a 2. You love to see it. He definitely wants to recover some health. And probably that ability use. I mean, I really am neglecting it, but it's absurdly good every fight to just get a free attack with his spear. As a fighter, it's pretty damn good. And then, like, you use that. If you're fighting a bunch of little targets, you use that, you get a free attack. And then your Opportunist gives you another free attack. And then you get your normal attack. You kill 3 things in the first round of combat. It's pretty good. So he's going to bring back Adaptable, and we want to have that. Someday we'll actually benefit from Sharpshooter, if I remember. Okay. So that's that. All that's really in here is its pelt. But I don't think we're going to take the time to do that. Also have to roll underclock now. Down to 10. And our light goes down to 5. Yeah, I had it set... Our light in Shadow Dark was set to 10, because that was the Solo Dark rules. Was just torches. Instead of an hour, they last 10 rounds. 10 turns. That time is kind of a weird factor. I wonder if... Now, OSE says 1 hour, 6 turns. So we are abiding by that. Okay. So all that's left here then is the stairs going down to the cistern. So we would just look down and we'd see a big pool of murky, dark water and probably skip that shit. If you did go down there for some reason and you went swimming in the dark, dirty water, there'd be a few dire rats in the water trying to bite you and give you a disease. And then if you did an intensive search of the rat's nest... Oh, actually, the rat's lair is on the east steps. So they lurk in the water. Does that seem right to you? That rats are just in the water? At all times waiting for something to fall down? That seems so wrong. But if you do an intensive search in the nest, you find a waterlogged wand of magic missile with 4 charges. Crafted from the rib bone of an ogre mage. It just seems weird. Rats would just be in the water. That's what it says. Trio of dire rats lurk in the water, attacking anything falling into the cistern. But they have a lair there on the steps, so surely they must... I think it's more likely they're just in the lair. Also, I should get an XP. I probably should get 2 XP, really, for that owlbear. That is a tough enemy. Dare I? Yes, I dare. I'm going to give 2 XP, killing a whole owlbear at level 1. I didn't even use baby owlbear stats. I used proper owlbear stats. So that means we hit level 2. I don't know if that occurs now. Usually not. Usually that's going to be when we get back to town or our village. It doesn't really say. But we'll wait. We will wait. So that's fine. I guess we'd poke our way over to those stairs, right? And we'd probably see the rat's nest there on the steps before the water. So I guess it's a matter of, like, do we go closer to investigate a little bit? We don't. Okay, we're just like, yeah, water, and that doesn't look good there, so we're hightailing it out of there. So no mage wand. We haven't really found any treasure here, because I don't want to skin anything, and I don't want to tear fragile gold plates off the door. So we haven't really found much. But hey, XP is good. Okay, we're continuing on. So now we're going through the doors, down over to room number 9. I feel like I should cast Cure Wounds at this point. I think Tress kind of needs it. Or is she just kind of out of it? We don't have a weapon for her or anything. So maybe I should just cast it on Danton. And she's just going to sit in the back because she's got nothing to do. I could see that argument as well. Alright, we're going to buff Danton. So I'm going to use Divine Spellcasting. And we're going to do a will check for Cure Wounds. Success. Barely. So he gets 1d6 health back. 5. Alright. Near full. Perfect. Down to room 9. Ooh, it's a lot of text. Alright. I gotta go, so we're gonna end it off here. And next time we will finish up the remainder of this little dungeon, which has been kind of interesting. It hasn't been too bad. Not too bad. Some interesting encounters and stuff. And then after that, we will get to look at my Hexcrawl map. Here's a little preview of what I put together. Oh yeah, I'll get to talk all about that next time. For now, though, my name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging with Tales of Argosa. I'll see you fine folks in the next part.